Some endings do not arrive the way anyone scripts them, and that is exactly what happened when Spain dethroned defending champion Argentina 1-0 in the World Cup final, closing the book on what might be the final World Cup chapter of Lionel Messi's legendary career. What made this moment resonate so deeply with American audiences was not just the result itself, but what came before and after it, a pair of raw, emotional messages from Messi that captured the weight of the occasion in a way that no highlight reel could fully convey. In this video, we are going to walk through exactly how the final unfolded, break down what Messi actually said in the hours surrounding that defeat, and explore why American fans who spent this entire summer falling in love with the World Cup found themselves so moved by watching a legend confront the end of an era. So let us get into everything that happened. To understand why this final carried so much emotional weight, you have to remember exactly what was on the line. Argentina arrived in New Jersey, chasing something no nation had accomplished in over 60 years, a second consecutive World Cup title, while Messi himself, now 39 years old, walked into MetLife Stadium fully aware that this match likely represented his last opportunity to add another World Cup chapter to an already unmatched career. Spain, meanwhile, arrived as the reigning European champions, unbeaten across 38 matches over more than 2 years, chasing their first World Cup title since Andres Iniesta's extra-time winner against the Netherlands back in 2010. Both teams carried enormous history into this match, but only one side was fighting to make history repeat itself, and only one side was fighting to write an entirely new chapter of their own. Before we get into how the match itself played out, take a second to hit that like button and make sure you are subscribed because we are covering every major storyline from this tournament as it wraps up. It only takes a second, and it genuinely helps the channel. Alright, let us keep going. What made this entire day even more emotional is that Messi did not wait for the final whistle to make the moment personal. Hours before kickoff, he posted a message on Instagram, alongside a team photo, reflecting on 2 decades spent wearing the Argentina shirt. He wrote that the best part of all those years was never just the titles themselves, but the journey it took to get there, adding that regardless of what happened that day, this group of players had already written a story that would never be forgotten and that nobody could erase. Reading that message before the match had even kicked off gave the entire day a different kind of weight, transforming it from a simple championship match into something that felt like it was already being remembered before it had even been played. Once the match began, it quickly became clear that this was not going to be the fairy tale ending Argentina had hoped for. Spain dominated possession from the opening whistle, controlling the tempo and starving Messi of the service he needed to make an impact. Argentina managed just 2 shots across the entire match, neither of which found the target, and did not register their first shot until well into extra time. Spain, by contrast, poured forward relentlessly, finishing with 20 shots and 12 on target, though goalkeeper Emiliano Martinez produced save after save to keep his team within reach. The turning point arrived late in regulation, when Enzo Fernandez picked up a second yellow card, forcing Argentina to play the remainder of the match with 10 men. That numerical disadvantage proved decisive in extra time, when substitute Ferran Torres pounced on a headed knockdown from Nico Williams and buried a shot from close range in the 106th minute, securing Spain's second-ever World Cup title and ending Argentina's bid to become the first repeat champion in over 60 years. In the moments immediately following the final whistle, one image captured the emotional core of the entire match more powerfully than any statistic could. Rather than heading straight for the tunnel, Messi remained seated alone on the pitch, quietly absorbing the moment while Spain's players celebrated nearby. For millions watching around the world, that image became the defining visual of the entire final. A legend sitting with his own thoughts, as the possible last chapter of his World Cup story came to a close in the most painful way imaginable. He was seen running his hands through his hair, standing with his hands on his hips, his gaze fixed on the turf, visibly heartbroken, even as he made sure to acknowledge Spain's players before eventually leaving the field. A day after the defeat, Messi took to Instagram once again, this time to share a longer and even more personal reflection on everything that had just unfolded. Writing in Spanish, he described the pain as immense, admitting that the wound would take time to heal, but insisting that he also chose to hold on to everything good about the tournament, including the matches his team had turned around by giving absolutely everything they had, moments he said would remain in their memories forever. He specifically thanked the entire country for its support, noting that alongside the effort of this group of players, Argentina had once again managed to stand among the best teams in the world, reaching back-to-back World Cup finals, even though the difficulty of fully appreciating that achievement was still setting in so soon after the loss. He closed by thanking fans individually for every single message and greeting he had received, a small but genuine touch that resonated deeply with supporters processing their own heartbreak alongside his. For American audiences who had spent this entire summer discovering the emotional intensity of World Cup soccer for the first time, watching Messi process this potential ending struck an unusually personal chord. Many fans admitted online that they had never expected to feel this invested in the closing chapter of a global superstar's career, especially one representing a country many of them had only recently started paying close attention to. The contrast between Messi's composed, gracious public messages and the visible devastation captured in that lone image sitting on the pitch created a moment that transcended typical sports fandom, turning into something closer to genuine collective empathy. Comment sections and social media timelines filled with tributes to his career regardless of the outcome, with many fans specifically praising the class and composure he displayed in defeat as a defining trait of his legacy. Perhaps even more so than any of his individual records. Beyond the emotional weight of the moment, this final also closed out several storylines that had defined the tournament as a whole, including a light-hearted subplot involving Erling Haaland that had trailed Messi's Golden Boot chase since the group stage. After Messi came off the bench to score a stunning free kick against Jordan, and again after he extended his tally in a dramatic win over Cape Verde. Haaland posted a self-deprecating message on Snapchat, admitting that Messi was simply never going to let him get his hands on the tournament's Golden Boot, a joke that spread widely among fans who appreciated seeing that kind of easygoing humor from a player who was putting together his own record-breaking debut campaign at the very same time. Messi ultimately finished the competition without capturing the Golden Boot himself either, with that honor going to Kylian Mbappe instead, while Spain's own breakout stars swept several of the tournament's individual awards as the new generation firmly announced its arrival on the sport's biggest stage. For Argentina, the result marked their fourth defeat in 7 World Cup final appearances, extending a wait for a repeat championship that now stretches back to Brazil's consecutive titles in 1962. For Spain, this victory represented their second World Cup crown in program history, both of them arriving through nearly identical one-goal, extra-time victories separated by 16 years. At the end of the day, this final will be remembered less for its back-and-forth drama and more for the emotional bookends surrounding it. From Messi's reflective message before kickoff to his heartfelt admission of pain a day after the loss. Whether or not this truly marks the end of his World Cup journey, the way he chose to handle both the anticipation and the heartbreak left a lasting impression on American fans who had spent an entire summer falling in love with this tournament and, in many cases, with Messi himself. Spain may have lifted the trophy, but the grace Messi showed throughout this final chapter of his career gave American audiences one more reason to appreciate exactly what made this World Cup so unforgettable. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you are subscribed so you catch our next video the moment it drops, because a summer like this one deserves to be remembered in full.